All right, Ben, the floor is all yours. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you, Joseph and Corey, for having me on. Um, I've kind of been watching you guys start this from the beginning and really proud to see where you brought it. So kudos to you, and I love this network that you guys got going on. So good job, keep it going. Keep pushing through. So a little bit about me is I'll give you guys a little bit of a background on me is. I was not in investment. I was not in business. I was not in real estate. Did not, if you told me, if you asked me to explain what a VC meant, I would be like, you mean VCR? I know what that is, right? But in 2015, I needed a change. I needed a shift. And I was a college basketball coach for about 15 years throughout Canada and spent some time in the US, spent some time in the NBA in the US, obviously. Not the Raptors. I was with a better organization than that. Um, so I was down south in Orlando with the Magic the year they went to the final. And then Obama got elected, changed all the immigration laws, and I had to come back to Canada because I couldn't. It was very difficult to prove that a Canadian was better at a basketball related job than an American. So I was out. So I came back to Canada, started my coaching career in Canada, and was a head coach for, did my assistant stuff, was a head coach for about 7 years, and realized that if I wanted to have a family, that that was a sacrifice that I had to make. And I've always wanted to. I have a great relationship with my father and my mother and my brothers, and I had always wanted that for me and my family. So made the change into, I always saw it being in the collegiate game. I always saw the value of rental properties because I know how much my players were paying in rent per month, per year. And I always was like, if I got into real estate, because in Canada, we have no rules when it comes to our collegiate athletics. If I got into real estate, I could really dominate by offering housing for my players. So that's really how my love for real estate started. And uh, I came back to Ontario. I was out in Alberta. I came back to Ontario and met my wife. And she kind of pushed. We were driving along. We heard somebody on the radio. We went to a couple courses, did the thing. We started to learn the power of leverage and using your other people's opportunities and pairing those together. So I didn't leave coaching because um, I wasn't good at it. And I want to make that clear that I took three different programs to the national top five ranking in the country in one recruiting class. And that is really what I want to talk tonight about is team and how everything that I've known in my whole life has been just geared towards teamwork and athletics and finding, building these building blocks and these Lego pieces and these puzzle pieces, putting them in together to create a successful opportunity for, whether it's, collegiate girls or collegiate men's moving forward with that and competing for a championship. So, the closest I got to an actual head coach championship was we lost in double overtime to go to the national championships. Uh, and my leading scorer blew his ankle the night before, leading scorer in the country. So we had some battles, but we still fought through. We almost made them. We ended up winning a bronze. So I got that was our closest we got. But as a head coach, but I've been a part of several championship organizations and championship teams throughout my life. I started playing competitive sport at 9 years old. I grew up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. For those of you who don't know where that is, I don't blame you. But that is at the top of Lake Superior. So our closest civilization was really Minneapolis. Um, so I was born on skates. You might say, well, how'd you end up with basketball? Well, my father was the collegiate coach there in that city, and we ended up adopting that. However, I, from 9 years old, I was a part of one losing season. And You may say, how do you remember those? Well, because I learned how shitty it feels to lose before I learned to love to win. Right. And I think it's important for people to understand that losing is a necessity in life. You cannot win without losing. Like it's just not going to happen. Right. And right now, you are going to feel more losses on a daily basis before you feel a win. It's just the reality of it. In the industry that you are in, and when you relying heavily on other people's capital, not your own. So that means people are coming into your deal and trusting you. You are going to get no's a lot more than you get yeses. So, with saying that, how do we build a team? And when I talk about a team in the investment world and the business world, it's all encompassing. So it's has to deal with your operations team, your administration team, how you vet your LPs or your JV partners, your general partnerships, everything. That is your cohesive group as a team. That is how you are going to win a championship. We do, we do three pillars of a championship. So I run, I work with 4 or 5 high-level CEOs that I work with on a weekly basis. And I developed a program for them. Basically it's called 90 Days to a Champion, but we've kind of everything is built around a 3 pillar system. So in the 90 days, there's 3 pillars, right? There's your first 30 days, second 30 days, third 30 days. I can get into those for days. But what is the championship blueprint? Everybody wants that. Well, what the hell is that? Right? I got it on my head right now. There's no better blueprint than these crazy guys right here. Okay. Gabe, stop laughing. Don't think that you're just going to walk all over us. But when you look at this, guys, you're running your own business. You may have a 9 to 5, you may have a T4, W2, whatever you do, but at the end of the day, you're here at 7:30 at 7:45 at night, ready to rock and roll, right? You're trying to build yourself and build it. So the resiliency that you have, right? Let's just look at this last championship series from the Toronto Blue Jays. You go down, you get the monkey off of your back and you beat the New York Yankees, which is the toughest organization to beat. Anybody here on the East Coast understands that. Like you just can't walk in and beat the pinstripes. It just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen, right? So what was done in that series was completely an offensive barrage and a defensive stand-up. But there was a major letdown, right? There was when you get those wins, those I'm at the top of the mountain, winning doesn't give a shit where you are. They just want more. Winning just wants more. But from a natural perspective, you're going to have a natural letdown. Well, we saw that. They lose game 1, they lose game 2. All right. How do we get this back? We're on the road against one of the best teams in baseball, the best hitting teams in baseball, and we got to go win at least 2 of them to give a chance for us to come home. What do? They make it happen time and time again. You got guys at the bottom of your team who aren't supposed to perform the way that superstars perform. But that's the way this team was built. It was built that the bottom of the lineup can set the table for the top of the lineup. And when you look at that, you have to build your business the same way. That everybody in your business, whatever part they are, they have to set the table for the next person. It just doesn't, it's not going to work if you don't. So they set the table. I get emotional thinking about it. I'm teary-eyed right now. I'm goosebumps, right? Because it, and you set the table and the big dog comes up, smacks it out, and guess what? We're playing the Dodgers, right? In game 7, you know, like you're down, bottom of the 7th inning. Might as well be bottom of the 9th in the playoffs. The same thing, right? You're down late in the game. How do you get it back? Guys, I can tell you right now from my own business, one of my developments, we are facing foreclosure on it. We are facing power of sale on it because we've been promised by different people that they're going to fund, they're going to fund, they're going to fund, and they never do. We have with legal documents coming in my way. I have legal documents going out to other people, right? Just in order to make this happen. And then out of shit dumb luck, somebody who I played basketball with and worked with one summer, we cut out oil tanks and did whatever we were supposed to do in university. He's working for a little construction company, calls me up, says he's got a cousin who is in forming, wants to do the form job on our stuff. Cool, great. I'll meet him, whatever. Turns out that this guy doing forming is a lot bigger than just a form worker, right? We ended up creating a partnership and funding the whole job. All the debts, everything gone. Why? Because I kept showing up. I kept showing up. My back was against the wall. What am I going to do? How are we going to make this work? Right? Did I have to give up a lot more percentage of the project than I wanted to? I did. But honestly, I don't care. Right? As long as my investors can get all of their money out, they may not get it out when they want, but they're going to get it out eventually. Then that's the most important thing. So it comes to perseverance, resiliency, and accountability. The three pillars of a championship team. Guys, let me just share my screen here. So, the championship business blueprint. Wait, can you guys see that? Hold on. Wait, that's not the
Yeah,
right one.
you were good. The pie chart.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Okay. Sorry. Um, all right. So, championship teams and market leading companies are not built by chance. They are built by sweat, blood, tears, God knows what else, right? So, our strategic alignment, our culture, and our execution, right? Strategic alignment here and the people and leadership. Those are kind of your three major pillars. So strategic alignment ship, success begins with a clear path. Guys, you got to have a clear path. So I frame everything from a season perspective, right? The day after I'm done, when I was coaching, we lost. I had my next season planned out within 24 hours. Where my clear goals, the clear vision as to why I want to do what I want to do, where I want to go, how I want to do this, the focus and the alignment on the execution is the now. What type of players and team members do we need in this alignment in order to be successful? Okay. It's really a strategic loop and it's defined by the fundamentals 1, 4, and 8 and down below that we're going to talk about. Okay. So that's pillar number one. Pillar number two versus and pillar number three, talent versus culture. Now, this one is extremely important to understand. Talent is essential for sure, right? Okay. It's team culture that unlocks the potential of your business. Now, I say this a lot. I heard it from a movie. One of my favorite movies of all time is Miracle. I know all you Canadians or whatever, but it's the Americans beating the Soviets. Great. I don't follow players, countries, but I follow coaches because that's how I learn. And Herb Brooks, one of his famous lines, they had it in the movie, is it's not about the best players, it's about the right players for your organization, right? So for your organization, what what are the right players? It doesn't mean they got to be the most talented players. Sorry, I'm trying to read this chat too here at the same time. So
Everybody's just cheering you on, Ben.
I appreciate it. Somebody, Joseph, watch that for me because I go
Yeah.
off on tangents, right? So, okay. So there's nothing more important than team's culture, and that attitude reflects leadership. So it has to come from the top. If your attitude is I'll get to it tomorrow, it's not worth it. Then your whole team's gonna be there's gonna be no urgency on your team, right? Okay. The rigor, resilience, and the psychological safety create your standard of excellence. Below, we can compare compositions of teams. Very simple, right? Okay. Your championship team, this is the most important, has your clear KPIs, right? What's a KPI? Key performance indicators. Your A players. I'm not talking about talent, I'm talking about culture for you, right? Ernie Clement is an A player. Why? Because this guy is a defensive machine, and apparently this guy can put a ball in play from any pitcher in the MLB. So, Gabe, watch out. And then vague roles and turnover. If your vague roles are bigger than any other section, you are an average at best team. So that goes back to our clear, defined roles, right? People, if you give somebody a role, so if I say, Joseph, I want you to head up our capital raising division, and these are we take our three pillars of excellence, we put them, you go run with it. Here's your role, own it, do it. Not, hey, Joseph, if do you think that you have some time to kind of look at our capital raising strategies and maybe give some input there? No, give ownership to people because when your team members have ownership in the actual process, they are going to perform because now they're going to feel like it's their own. And if they feel like it's their own and it's their success, they are going to win for you because they're going to be winning with you, not against you. So it's important, right? Your standard of an ex your championship culture is these all have to be aligned. Okay. Average culture, we're gonna really play on the standard of excellence, but we're not going to talk about our psychology, and I don't really care about our operational rigor, right? Now, when I talk about operational rigor, it's how much can you bend without being broken and still stay positive and move forward? Because I can tell you right now, I didn't know how much I can bend until this past year and a half. It's not been fun. This world has not been fun. So let's get into the 10. I know I'm kind of going through this fast because if anybody wanted to have any questions, we're going to get to work here. So 10 core fundamentals. First one, clear, shared vision. Very important. In sports, it's what we call the why, right? In business, it's your North Star metric. It's your mission alignment, ensuring every department slash sales, engineering, marketing, whatever industry you're in is aligned to the same simple, single measurable goal, right? Everyone must understand the company's ultimate purpose and how they daily work contributes to that engine moving forward, right? Two, elite leadership and role clarity. I can't stress this enough. Again, I say it again, attitude reflects leadership. If you have poor leadership at the top, you are going to have poor results everywhere. And I used to tell this to my team when I'd have a kid come in and say, Ben or coach, I want more playing time. I'm like, okay, you go tell Wayne that you're going to take his minutes. Well, I don't want to do that. I know you don't because Wayne is in the gym at 11 p.m. at night asking me to come rebound for him. So I know you're not going to take his minutes, right? So clear role clarity. I said, your role is a shooter. You're coming off the bench as a shooter. How do you need to practice that role? One, you need to go work your butt off for 10 minutes, get as many shots up you can for 10 minutes, go sit down for 10 minutes, do 4 sets of that, and that should be your workout for the day, right? It's things like those, right? Owning mistakes. Everybody's going to make a mistake. Don't project your mistakes. Don't blame. Own that, right? It's the way that it should work, right? Defined accountability and your key performance indicator, have strong, credible, executive leadership and managers who set the cultural standard. What do you want your culture to be? What do you want your identity to be? So when somebody asks you who you are, what do you tell them? That's your identity, right? In this business, when you're doing your own thing, when you're trying to capital raise, when somebody asks you, well, what do you do? Who you are? That's your 30 seconds. That's all you get to leave a lasting impression. And all they care about is can this person get it done? That's it. That's the only question that they need answered. And your first 30 seconds, that clearly is your identity, which is your culture. That it tells them if you're going to be successful or not. Defensive, principle 3, defensive and foundational discipline. Now, this is non-negotiable. Okay. I say this. I'm a basketball coach by heart, by trade. It's what I do. My teams averaged about 107 points a game. We put the ball in a basket. Why? Because we had specific rules. I gave my players a lot of freedom, but we had rules. And one of them was on the defensive side of the ball. And I can tell you that my players didn't They will tell you this. I didn't get mad when they made a mistake offensively. But when they broke our defensive principles, they heard it. And I tell you this because for one reason only. My defense led to my offense. So in athletics and in sport, your defense can't contradict your offensive philosophy. I don't know if anybody knows basketball here, but I can't play. If I want to run the floor and put the ball in a basket in under 14 seconds, I cannot have a defense that is a trapping defense that is all over the floor, slowing the pace of the play down. We can't do that. We have to be in rebounding position and keep the man in front and not play a ton of help. Why? Because now it allows us to get our big guys to get the rebound and outlet to the wings to go up the floor. And that's what we did. We murdered that in practice. How 45% or sorry, 65% of our practice was built off those defensive principles, and it led to being the biggest point differential in my league's history to date was my team from my two teams from that we did that. And people are like, well, you allow 80 points a game. I'm like, yeah, but I also score 103, so shut the hell up, right? My point differential was 2.2. Like, come on, whatever it was. I don't know, it was 1.7 or something like that. But yeah, so that's what we do. You got to have that cohesiveness and non-negotiable defense, operational rigor, quality control, non-negotiable standards for your core operations. Like you just got to have that, right? You got to have that, right? Okay, Schneider made a horrible play in game five. He owned it. Sometimes you make a decision and it's not the right one, and you gotta live with it. So on and so forth. And then he went on to the next game and they won, right? Because they had non-negotiables. They put their head down at midnight after that game or the time they stepped off the flight, and they're ready to go for game six. It's the way it happens. All right. In-game adjustments, strategic adaptability. This is my favorite. And this is what so many people do not understand. I never, in my 15-year coaching career, I never got through a full practice plan in my life. Not once. Why? Because if I'm not happy with what's going on, I'm going to fix it. And we're going to work on that so that we can adapt to what is going on at that point in time, right? You got to be agile in your execution. My one development started out 5 years ago as condos in Toronto. It just in the GTA. Okay. We were going to make a shit ton of money. It was great. That's why we did it. Well, fast forward 5 years, we're a full multifamily rental building. We had to pivot. We had to change everything. We had to change the design of the whole building. We had to change the everything in order to go this route. But we were able to be agile, have agile execution to market responsiveness. Today is a dynamic time. People say they don't have money, but there's a lot of dry powder out there, guys. There is a ton of dry powder for you, right? Emerging technologies is also something you got to be adapted to with AI, rapid shifts in customer needs, our time. If somebody sends you an email, you don't get back to them, and I'm a culprit of this. Sometimes I don't want to give bad news, but man, I'm not good at giving bad news because if I can yell it at you, I can do that. But when I've actually got to give professional bad news, it's hard to do. Mental toughness and a crisis response, right? That's your resiliency part of the athletics moving into the business. Risk management, the adaptability of your team, your recovery plans. You don't want to panic in market downturns, So I always say this when I speak with people about pitching is the number one thing that needs to be on point for when you are pitching anybody is your exit strategy. That's it. That's it. If your exit strategy is wonky, nobody's going to give you money because then they can't see the clear picture of how they're getting back. So, what are you looking at when there's disasters, right? Like, I'm not talking about natural disasters. I'm talking about client losses, PR disasters, those type of things that you have to recover from. And that, or you don't have enough money to pay the bills. What are you doing? How are you figuring that out? Right? Long-term scale or stability and continuity. Institutional knowledge. That's your track record. That's your talent retention. If you don't have it on your team, get it on your team. It's that simple, right? Okay. Core culture, valuable institution knowledge, and retain and pass down through mentorship, ensuring consistent philosophical execution. People always want to say, I need to get this guy on my team. He's the best. Well, I only hire former athletes, guys, and I can tell you, Joseph knows my operations manager, who we've had to lay off because we haven't had the ability to pay, right? Until hopefully coming up here. Uh, he's a beast. He's 23 years old, and I get to groom him into this business, right? I get to groom him. He's in all these expert meetings, he's in all these things, and he's very impressionable. And sometimes when you hire somebody who is the proverbial expert, it's actually detrimental to your team. Okay? Because they want to put their fingerprint on it, and their way's the highway, right? Just remember that it's, again, I go back to this philosophy that it's not about the best players, it's about the right players, because the best player can derail your team very quickly, very quickly. Safety and trust, right? Candor into innovation, right? Create an environment where employees are comfortable challenging senior decisions. That's important, right? Okay. As an assistant coach, I have your back in front of the team, but behind closed doors, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge the shit out of you, right? I don't believe this. I don't agree with this. I don't do this. You got to have one of those on your team that challenges you behind closed doors to make you think and make you be a better person. And guys, listen, we don't always agree, and we're never going to always agree. That's the beauty of the human existence. It's that two people will never see the same thing through the same eyes. The hardest thing I had to learn as a coach is that my constituents didn't think the same way that I did. So my players, I remember my first year coaching, I was like, how come this friggin' point guard can't execute the ball screen? It's simple. Come off it with your shoulder low, bounce it out, rip it out, hit the reverse, inside for a post up. It's easy. He couldn't see that. And I would get so mad at that and then I sat for a second, and my dad, being who my dad was, and gave me shit. And he's like, "Why don't you just take a step back and ask him what he's thinking?" And I'm like, "Well, he should be thinking this." Like, nope, he's got a different perspective. So why don't you ask him? And that's the second when I asked my point guard what he was seeing and what he was thinking. That was the first time that I realized that when you give ownership, you receive success. Okay. So remember that when you give ownership, you're actually getting success in return, right? Joseph, I'm kind of running over time here, so I'll wrap it up as quick as I can here. Peak performance and time periodizations. You don't have to do everything at one time, right? Okay. Don't rush to get something out that's not ready to be out there. Okay. Relentless work ethic, guys. That's just simple. You got to show up every day. So I've recently lost 14 pounds. Okay. I've recently lost 14 pounds. And losing weight at 44 years old with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a family, it's not easy and a business. It's not easy to do, right? And uh dedication, perseverance, and sweat is really what how I'm doing it. Um, and I was just tired, man. I woke up at 44 years old, and I'm like, I turned 44 on August 25th, and I was like, I felt like shit. My body hurt. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I changed. I started to understand what I was preaching and like really living by it. 6 weeks later, I lost 14 pounds. I've kept it off, and I feel I am in the best shape of my life. I have the most clarity I've had in a very long time. Um, and my business is better for it. I'm playing more with my kids. I could do different things. I love it. So that takes me to relentless work ethic. If you have a team member who cannot match your work ethic to an extent, right? You have to, instead of getting rid of them, you have to show them why the work ethic is important. And if they can't, then that's when you find somebody who can match your work ethic, right? So A players and bench strength, right? Cross-functional bench strength, recruiting and retaining the A players, the superstar talent. Key positions, crucially build cross-functional teams that create strength in areas that you can't even imagine. So those are a bunch of pillars. I can share this link. You guys can have this. Let me just copy this.
Awesome.
Big thank you to Ben Julius for coming on the call and sharing his insights on leadership and team building. If you liked the video, drop a comment, let us know, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified when more videos get dropped. See you next time.